Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. Before we get into your incredible run that you've been on right now, I think we've done maybe almost every fight we've interviewed ahead of that. So it's kind of cool to be on like part of the roller coaster. But I want to go back, man, and ask you about like before you started fighting, maybe like during your career early on. I was watching another interview. You talked about like working at Target, then working at a landscaping job, and then you worked at a janitorial job, all while training at the same time, man. Like, can you take me back to those days and like even like maybe some conversations you had with people? Because obviously your people that you work with are going to ask you like, what do you do, outside of this work? What was it like back then?
It was it was kind of funny. I'd go to work and some people wonder why I showed up with black eyes or busted lips or something like that, and make sure I was good. Um, Sometimes I'd be super tired, but I was always the guy that was like they depended on, so they wanted me to be good because I had to unload the trucks as fast. I was like the fastest guy to unload the truck. Um, and so they always want to make sure like I was there, I showed up and everything. So yeah, I built a good relationship with a lot of those guys, and it was kind of fun. I Waking up that early is awful. Like it's completely ridiculous. I hated it. Um, but yeah, man, it's just this is how you make a living. So I did that, uh, and then we had practice probably it's been a while, probably like 10:30, 11 ish. So I'll go from work to there, hit a class up or two, it just depends, and then I would go do landscaping, a lot of maintenance work. You know what I mean? I used to do like drip systems, and I used to do just like weeds and lay rock and just stuff like that. A lot of just like side hustles. Um, and then after I was done with that, I'll go to back to the gym, do my thing, and I'd have to spend sponge bath a lot too because we didn't have showers at the time. So, you know, I'm happy the dude wipes came out because back in the day, man, it was just a lot of just like soap and water.
In the sick,
And
huh?
then once I was done with those, I and it wasn't like every single day, but um, I'd say about a good, 3 to 4 times a week. We were doing like strip and wax, like on floors and stuff like that. That's been what I did, carpet cleaning, very commercialized. So I'd go to like schools, like public schools, and then we'd go to hospitals and stuff. So we did a lot of that from time to time. When I was younger, I used to, do a lot of the janitorial stuff in the bathrooms and stuff, and then clean windows and everything like that. But yeah, man, I come from rough beginnings, man. I really do.
Yeah, man, respect to that. And yeah, man, like I think you discipline, work ethic, like you get more of that, right? Going through all of that stuff. Do you feel like the guys that are coming up now, they have like a little bit easier than you do?
Do by a ton. You know what I mean? Back in the day, we didn't have Contender Series. We had the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? And that was like you were lucky to even get looked at with the Ultimate Fighter and stuff. So yeah, they're a little bit more spoiled when it comes to attention. You really had to back in the day. You really had to make a name for yourself. Nowadays, you can get in front of the boss's eyes a little bit easier. But you know what, man? Well, still, what we do is hard, and I still, you know, I give them credit. You got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, for sure. And you've been at Jackson Wink for a long time, and like I believe when you started with them, they were at like they're still at the top of the game, but at that moment they were like probably the number one gym in the world, man. Like, how was it stepping on the mats, like, and working with Mike Winklejohn? Like, you've been working with him for so long. Your striking is, it seems like it's being almost perfected in so many ways, man. Talk about that.
When I first got on the mats, the very first time I stepped on their mats, I was 16, 17 years old, and Cowboy Cerrone beat my ass. Probably the worst beating I've ever got in my life. He dropped me like 3 times, and I doubt he remembers that. He was fighting Jamie Varner for the world title in the WEC days a long time ago. Uh, so that's kind of like my ranking in at Jackson's. I got a lot of respect after I got my ass beat from him. But yeah, man, once that happened, you know what I mean? I trained there a lot. at the other stages, like I cross trained between a couple different gyms and stuff. But once I finally made the full switch over, because you know, Jackson Wink is like the staple gym in not just the world, but like mainly New Mexico. You know what I mean? Like we have a couple of the gyms, and they really well. And they all branch off from Jackson Wink. You know what I mean? So at that time, it was so hard to get like solid attention from Greg and Wink. I was still making sure that like I built a good relationship with them and the team, but I was able to still like get work in with like sister gyms. And so I did that, and I was able to kind of build like a good base. And I went over there maybe when I was like, I think I was like 20 or 19, something like that, when I made the full transition over to JW. Um, it was in a sense like I got to know a lot of the guys, but when you really get to get like working with the UFC, like that was like those are the guys like Carlos Condon, John Dotson, Diego Brandao, Diego Sanchez. Um, who else was in there, man? Like you'd have people that came in sporadically, like Clay Guida. You'd have people like Leonard Garcia would come in a long time. Uh, who else? Like Yuri Alcantara, like you had Yair, you had Mowgli, you had Joby. You have a lot of these guys that were like in the UFC at that time, and it was scary, bro. Like you walk on there, and these are all the killers that you see, like getting the recognition from the UFC, and they're making a household name. And I just think that like I was able to develop a good amount of respect because I took my licks, man. Like I was like, all right, I'll just take the beatings, I'll get them out the way now, and I think it paid off, man. It really did. JW was just, it was a murder's house. You know what I mean? Murder's road. No, this is murder's house. Where they housed all the murderers there. And that's not even including like John Jones. That's not including Arlovsky. It doesn't include Travis Brown. Those are the heavier weights. You know what I mean? They had a ton of people. Man, it just like it was hard to get attention from them, and you just had to earn your stripes there. And it's still kind of like that. You know what I mean? If you really want to get in JW, you got to show your loyalty, and you got to make sure that you're going to stick around.
Yeah, along the way, I'm pretty sure many fighters have just fallen off and they just quit because they just couldn't handle it, right? They just couldn't rough it out. How does it feel for you to fast forward to now? You're on this winning streak and like you're building a name for yourself and you're getting somewhat some recognition, for yourself.
Yeah, man. I feel like it's long overdue. It's kind of about time, but I'm all about putting in the work. That's really what it comes down to. And even in the UFC, you got to put in your work. Um, I don't know, man. I'm just here. I'm here to win. I'm here to win. I'm here to win big. I'm here to do big things. And honestly, I'm here to provide for my family any way I can. And this is how I do it. I'll go to the end of the world, if I have to. You know what I mean? And find success. So we're here, and yeah, man. Like I said, it's trickling in. I feel like it's happening, but I'm just one foot in front of the next, dude.
Yeah, man. I'm happy for you, man. We've been doing interviews for a while now, and seeing you have
Yeah,
success now, and kind of putting the pieces together perfectly. It's great to see. Volkanovski, he did an interview recently talking about like they were talking about like championship titles and all this stuff. What about your legacy? And he responded by saying, "My legacy is about taking care of my family." I kind of see that in you a little bit. Is that? Do you feel the same way?
yeah, man, 100%. Like if I suffer, they suffer. Um, I have to give it everything I got, not just for them, but also for like my own mental health, man. Like if you don't give it, I mean, I think coming up, you have these moments where like you kind of like question yourself, and I think we all experience that from time to time. But once you can like finally just like make up your mind and just admit like I'm gonna give everything I have, and at the end of the day, it's normally enough. It's normally enough. If I give everything I have, I can get the job done. But let's say it doesn't happen. If I give you everything I got, dude, like, and you still beat me, like, hats off to you, brother. Like, that's how I see it, and I feel like I'm still gonna be pissed. I'm still gonna like be bothered and stuff, but I may not lose as much sleep. You know what I mean? Because there's nothing more left that in my tank that I could have given. You know what I mean? getting caught and doing those other things, those things kind of suck, man, and they'll eat away at you. But if you have a hard fight or the cases and you just push through it, you know what I mean? Like I think you can live with yourself a little bit better than than that following night, and um, those things don't haunt you as bad. You know what I mean? I don't feel like fighters really talk about that. Like I man, like I remember when I first went into the UFC, I fought Luis Pena, and I you know, I was like a 3 or 4, I think it was a 4-day notice, and we went in there, I felt like I went for broke, dude. Like I didn't have anything to lose, you know what I mean? And I think I caught him in the third with a triangle choke and almost got him. Gurgling, everything was good. And he got out, man. He got out, and I lost the fight. And I was already hurt with myself. I was upset, um, that I lost, regardless of the situation. And then like Sean Shelby came to me and he's like, if you would have finished that, I'll give you 50 grand. And people don't understand, like, dude, that haunted me. It haunted me for about a month. I woke up thinking about it. I went to sleep thinking about it. Um, how I lost my opportunity to make 50 grand, and my family would have been able to just like benefited from that. You know what I mean? And so like that's why I just try not to leave any stone unturned these days, and I go for it, man.
Yeah, you definitely go for it. You've been going for it 4 in a row. Knockouts, man. Incredible knockouts as well, man. A few of them,
Thank you.
you come back and you knock them out, which is, I think those are the best ones, right? I know you don't want to take damage, but hey, man, those are the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I train hard. I try to fight with my heart. Um, Yeah, man, and it's kind of like you said, like about like Volkanovski. We all have a passion for what we do. We all want to do good. It's just like when you can like tap into certain things that mean more to you than just fighting or just being good, and then make the difference. You know what I mean? Like for me, before I used to be kind of selfish a little bit before I had my family and stuff, and you wanted to be great for your legacy and stuff like that. But man, dude, like really, when it comes down to winning or losing, my family will really, really, benefit from my victories. Because when I lose, it's a bit of suffering. You know what I mean? And we're hoping for another fight and stuff. And I'm grateful to God that I haven't lost, in almost 2 years. But my goodness, dude, like it's hard. It's harder and harder because like the higher people think that like the more you do stuff, the easier it gets. And in our case, it's not typically like that because the better that you do, the higher in the ranks that you climb, which means that the competition level is harder and harder and harder. So like I feel like people just expect me to go knock these people out now. Like I feel like there's an expectation of it. I have that expectation of myself. But now that I'm knocking on the top 15 door, those guys are killers. You know what I mean? So like I'm trying to be the killer that's putting away killers. So that's very hard to do. I believe I can get it done, but man, it just kind of crazy when people like have these high expectations. When they're not the one getting in there. I have high expectations for myself because of how much I put, my work into it. But when people like are DMing me, they're like, "Hey, I'm betting the house on you," I'm like, "You're freaking crazy, bro! Like, don't do that." And honestly, I try not to give them time of day. So if you're listening, don't do that because that's one way to kind of get on someone's nerve a little bit. At least mine. If you want to bet on me, feel free to go ahead and do that, but don't tell me about it. Um, I'm coming from the other end where I've had death threats because people have lost money on me. I'm not trying to be about that energy. I'm trying to be, I want good energy. I want good vibes. And if you want me to do well, don't talk to me about that stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to congratulate me afterwards, cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But you know what? I have a job just like everybody else has a job, except mine just in the limelight, and um, there's certain things that I think people don't understand.
Yeah, definitely they don't understand. And speaking of limelight, next fight, man, Kyle Nelson, he was supposed to fight Calvin Cater. You step in and it shows you that, you're ready for that top 15. This is just the test that you have to pass. What do you think of Kyle Nelson and his fighting style?
I think Kyle Nelson's very tough. I feel like when he's Canadian, you know what I mean? Like those Canadians, bro. Like you look at all their hockey players, bro. They're tough. They lose teeth and they don't even care. So I know he's tough. I know he's tough. Um, I feel like he's the type of guy who likes to push your buttons a little bit. He wants to poke you. Does that bother you? Does this bother you? How does my weapons fare up against maybe your defense a little bit? Um, So I don't know. It's kind of how I'm kind of approaching this fight. It's kind of how I feel. Um, yeah, man. And I'm not trying to like take anything away from him because man, this guy's he's winning um and stuff. I don't know. Like I kind of thought that like Bill Geo fight was like a little bit like early. He was still on his feet. He was still kind of defending himself to an extent. But he got the dub, and congrats to him. But if I hit him, it's gonna be a problem. I know that, and so let's just see what happens, brother. I feel like once I really connect, he's probably gonna take a dive at my feet. And we're gonna have one of those fights. You know what I mean? So um, he's dangerous all the way around. He's very strong. You look at him, look at his back. He's a strong dude. I know that. What I mean, you just look at him and like, dude, this guy's like a friggin'. He almost could be like a far. Like those farmers have like that like I'm carrying around hay like build. That's what he reminds me of. I'm like, this dude probably can just freaking chuck hay over his shoulder like it's nothing. Um, that's just kind of how I see him. But at the end of the day, man, if it's me versus him, right? And if I had to bet money, I'm betting on myself. I'm always going to bet on myself. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. Um, and I don't know if I'm the favorite to win or favorite to lose. But a lot of people just, especially in the rankings, there, they favor this guy. They really like this guy, and I'm like, bro, like he's good, but um, I don't know what you've been watching, but it's not me. So wait till you see me fight him. You know what I mean? And then we can make a true, honest, assessment. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it, man. I feel like I still got this chip on my shoulder. People still are like kind of doubting me. People still don't believe in me. As long as I believe in myself, we're going to the top.
Yeah, this is fight of the night. You know what I mean? Like the matchup is fight of the night. You can't deny that. If you follow the sport, you know what's going on. Um, I'm just glad you.
I heard that they took me from the main event. Or they took me from the co-main event, and I'm like, bro, like you wanted to see some chingazos thrown, bro. Like keep me in the co-main event, and I'm gonna freaking go for it, bro. Like I don't know, I don't understand why. Like, oh man, dude, it like really that kind of bothered me. I'm like, because I'm not Calvin Cater, like for real. I was a little bothered. I get Andrade, you know what I mean. She's been there for a while. She's in a sense like what do you call it? She's paid her dues. You know what I mean? So like I get that. There's nothing against, Andrade ever. But like, man, I'm like, bro, like you want a fight of the night contention, fight, that's where you put me. That's where you stick me. You know what I mean? And if I'm not there, I should probably be in the main event. They're great, and I'm not trying to toot my horn. I'm just like, what do the fighters want to see, or what do the audience want to see? They want to see knockouts. They want to see just gunslingers going for it. You know what I mean? And I've been going for it. I don't know what more I need to do, but I think a win over Kyle Nelson will let me kind of like have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm like, bro, like, come on, you know I've been doing this. Like, just stick me up there. You know what I mean? But and I've been at the apex. You know what I mean? So I love the apex. I feel like it's been really good to me. But I'd also like to be in front of a crowd, man. Like crowds are nice. I don't know. I'm just fighting and winning. I'm doing my job. You know what I mean? This is the UFC. They're gonna do their job. When they get behind me, I think we're gonna get a solid push. I just gotta keep winning.
Yeah, that chip on your shoulder has served you well, man. It has. Like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of like pushes you a little. I think it pushes some fighters a little extra. Like, yo, I deserve these things. You know what I mean? But I got to prove it, and I think that's the attitude that you have. And they're gonna go back to New Mexico someday. They need somebody, right? So you're the guy,
Put me on
probably.
that card, bro.
Yeah.
Like I'll headline that card.
Hmm.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man, dude, this is my hometown. Like, I'd love for them to come back. You know what I mean? And I'd love to fight on it. I fought here my whole life, man. It is what it is. But yeah, man. At this point, just one fight at a time, one punch at a time, and things that's how I've been approaching the last four fights. You know what I mean? Just let's just stick to the plan. Like, just don't worry about too much of the noise outside of this, and let's get the job
Yeah.
done. And thank God it's been working for me.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm just happy that you're not fighting another Asian. You know what I mean? You've been knocking those guys off left and right.
My man, I'm sorry, dude.
Nah, man, it's all good, man. It's fighting, man. It's fighting. But yeah, man, you've had some, yeah, just
Hey, I don't pick them.
yeah, I
I
know,
don't
I
pick
know,
them.
I know,
They give them to me,
I know,
bro.
I know, I know. Yeah,
They're tough.
yeah,
We'll say that.
yeah.
They're freaking tough.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness,
for sure,
tough.
man. That's why it makes incredible fights, man. They're tough, and when you put those guys out, it shows like, dude, man, this guy just he got the death touch, in those hands, like like, and you could throw kicks too. I think people forget that you got kicks too.
Yeah, I hit him with like a left head kick, which
Oh
kind of
yeah,
started the whole
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
And it's mainly like you do that across the body. You don't do that to the face. If he drops his level, it's gonna nail him in the body.
Mhm.
But you put it across the body to prevent the shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know he's trying to take me down.
Mhm.
So if I can put it across the body, it's gonna keep him upward.
Mhm.
And I felt like that kind of led to the start of everything. And then I threw the teep in there, but I finished with that body
Yeah.
shot. Um, but yeah, man, yeah, man, I got a lot of in my back pocket.
Mhm.
People you know, they're gonna be surprised when they see me do this or they
Mhm.
see me do that. I try not to show my hand, too much. You've seen what I've shown you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and I just stick to like somewhat of the basics of what I know, and just as long as I put it together, it
Mhm.
works out for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On top of God's given me a solid left hand, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
God's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Man, I'm not even gonna ask you like what you feel like you're gonna do because I already know what you feel like you're gonna do with this fight coming up September 7th. UFC Fight Night should be the damn co-main event, but it is what it is. Steve, man, thank you so much
Sure.
always for the time and all the best in this fight coming up. It's gonna be a crazy matchup, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on, bro. Like we've gone way back, so
Mhm.
I had to give you one for sure.
Appreciate it.